What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I apologize if I may be talking a little bit slow. I went earlier. As a matter of fact, it was about 3 hours ago. I had a couple teeth pulled, so my mouth is in kind of bad shape right now, but I'm going to try to push through this thing. It's not hurting too bad, so we're going to see how this goes. I might try to keep it as brief as possible. And I promised myself I wasn't going to talk about this story. I wasn't going to talk about this story because it wasn't a big story, actually. But you know what? I can't help it. People are just going crazy about this. It's been all over the news. It's been all over the news podcasts. It's been all over everywhere. And you know what? I just got to go ahead and throw my 2 cents into the ring here. So let's get into this right quick. As we know,
a journalist claims he was mistakenly added to a group chat where sensitive U.S. military plans were being discussed by senior Trump officials. Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, reported that he was added to a Signal chat group called Houthi PC Small Group. Goldberg said the group chat included high-ranking officials such as Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. These names are seen in screenshots of the group chat taken by Goldberg and shared in his reporting. The messages detail plans for a U.S. military strike against Iran-backed Houthi positions in Yemen, including specifics like weapons, targets, and timing. The National Security Council has since confirmed that the message chain, quote, appears to be authentic, adding that they are now reviewing how a number was inadvertently added to the chat. Goldberg has said that he did not include parts of the chat in his reporting because they contain sensitive information. But a White House spokesperson later claimed that no classified material was sent to the chat. Hegseth has strongly denied these claims, saying he never texted war plans to anyone and has called the report a lie.
Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
President Donald Trump has also dismissed the story.
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic.
And, supposedly there was some classified information released, but, come to find out, hang on, it wasn't, really, was it? Because the reporting on it, he didn't want to release the classified information. He's just making this stuff up, as a matter of fact. Because if you go through all the messages, it's quite innocuous. Aside from the fact that, they announced on this messaging app, Signal, that there was going to be a strike. That's it, y'all. And the corporate media, they're just going absolutely nuts over this. And they can't seem to get their story straight, right? I go to Ground News. I tell y'all all the time, I use Ground News. It's an aggregator of news, and it allows me to be able to do what I'm about to do right now. The way they titled this is, check this out, Trump not planning to fire Waltz after national security signal leak. Now, that's kind of it's kind of confusing, if you will, if you don't know about the story already. Because what do you mean national security signal leak? What the hell is that? But outside of that, they give their little summary right there. And then you go to Newsmax, which is a right-wing source. It says Trump stands by NSA Waltz. He learned a lesson. Okay, so there we go. So Trump is standing by this guy, which, as a matter of fact, Trump made a statement. He did say he learned a lesson. And he is saying he's not being fired, as a matter of fact. Well, then you go over here to the Daily Kos, and as a matter of fact, 2 birds with 1 stone. Politico reporting Mike Waltz may be on his way out as National Security Advisor. So this is the problem with news media these days, and this is what I'm trying to do, right? This is my whole existence on YouTube, is to show the manipulation of the media, whether it's left wing, right wing, what wing, doesn't matter wing, whatever wing it may be. All right, because I try to be at least as factual as possible with this, and then I give you my opinion on top of that, which is biased. But at least I'll let you know that. But I'm just pointing out that, they're all over the place with this one, y'all. All over the place. But, I happen to land on the AP because, you guys know I have a soft spot in my heart for the Associated Press, as a matter of fact. And their headline was fairly apt. I will be fair that their headline was the fairest of them all, if you will. Check it out. Trump downplays national security team texting military operation plan on Signal as minor glitch. Now, they did kind of throw their bias in there when they say downplay, which I wouldn't say he's downplaying it. He's more like playing it level, if you will. But let's get into it, because they're trying to amp this thing up like it's some sort of huge national security breach, ignoring all of the security breaches of the Biden administration. But hey, that's whataboutism, and that's not what we're playing today. So let's get into this right quick. President Donald Trump on Tuesday downplayed the texting of sensitive plans for a military strike against Yemen's Houthis this month to a group chat that included a journalist saying it was the only glitch in 2 months of his administration, as Democratic lawmakers heaped criticism on the administration for handling highly sensitive information carelessly. That's my bad on that. But, that was one giant sentence. That whole thing was a sentence. That entire paragraph was a sentence. So I will always finish the sentence, generally speaking, before I'll take a pause to give you my opinion. Now, they didn't leak any sensitive plans, as a matter of fact. The way I view this, actually, is they just acknowledged that there was going to be a strike. Now, the journalist claims that there was highly classified sensitive data plans and all this blah, 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 blah. But he didn't release none of that information. He's just holding on to that because, he doesn't want to be one of these people that disseminates classified information, right? Because you're a good, upstanding journalist. We'll just take your word for it. Even though this guy was behind one of the biggest hoaxes, the Suckers and Losers hoax, as a matter of fact. That was nothing but lies. That was a pile of lies. It was refuted by 11 people that were actually in the room with Trump when he supposedly said this. So yeah, we're not going to believe this guy very much. But let's keep going. Trump told NBC News that the lapse turned out not to be a serious one and expressed his continued support for National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Waltz, according to the article posted online Monday by The Atlantic, appeared to have mistakenly added the magazine's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, to a chat that included 18 senior administration officials discussing planning for the strike. Michael Waltz has learned a lesson, and he's a good man, Trump said. He also appeared to point blame in an unnamed Waltz aide for Goldberg being added to the chain. It was one of Michael's people on the phone. A staffer had his number on there. Yeah, so that to me sounds like an excuse. Just to be honest with you. I mean, if you want to speculate that, yeah, he might have made a mistake, may have been a sausage finger thing going on here, it may have been one of his aides, but, I try to break it down to the most logical thing, the least amount of assumptions here. Occam's razor, if you will. Yeah, it was probably an accident on Walz's part, but that's just me. I wouldn't point blame to an aide trying to subterfuge the whole situation. But hey, people make mistakes. That's all I'm going to say. Donald Trump doesn't seem to be pissed off about it, so why lie about it, my guy? But hey, it is what it is. Let's keep going. But the use of messaging app Signal to discuss a sensitive operation has opened the administration to blistering criticism from Democratic lawmakers who expressed outrage at the White House's and senior administration officials' insistence that no classified information was shared. Senior administration officials have struggled to explain why the publicly available app was used to discuss such a delicate matter. Well, they said there was no classified information leaked. Are we just supposed to take their word for it? Like, who are we going to believe here? Like, once again, this falls down to who do you believe? Do you believe a dishonest journalist, or do you believe the federal government? Regardless if it's Trump's administration, it doesn't matter whose administration it was, right? Because we can all boil everything down. It wasn't Trump, for one. It was one of his national security advisors. So, yeah, maybe it was a mistake. But hang on, they were just discussing striking the Houthis. Like, there was no sensitive data released, apparently. Now, I do trust Tulsi Gabbard to speak the truth on this. If there was sensitive data released, I think Trump would be pissed. I think Tulsi Gabbard would be pissed. I think Pete Hegseth would be pissed, and this guy would be fired. But instead, what are they doing? Now, you might say, well, they're just trying to hide this screw-up. Hey, that's a possibility. You never know. Waltz said Tuesday he was not sure how Goldberg ended up on the chat. This one in particular, I've never met. Don't know. Never communicated with. Walz said. Trump, for his part, continued to attack The Atlantic. There we go. And Goldberg, and sent mixed messages on whether the administration would change how it goes about sharing sensitive information going forward. You love how they just have to throw that. Oh, he was attacking The Atlantic by criticizing them. That's what's wrong with our current media these days. They take criticism. Oh, that's an attack on us. You're attacking journalism. You're attacking the First Amendment. Ghastly, isn't it? We won't be using it very much in the future, Trump said of Signal. That's one of the prices you pay when you're not sitting in the Situation Room with no phones on, which is always the best, frankly. Trump added, if it was up to me, everybody would be sitting in a room together. The room would have solid lead walls and a lead ceiling and lead floor. Why not lead-lined concrete, Trump? Like, why's it got to be solid lead? Like, what is that going to do? Concrete seals off rooms just as good. One official reported to be on the Signal chain, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, acknowledged during a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing on Tuesday that she was traveling overseas during the exchange. She wouldn't say whether she was using her personal or government-issued phone because the matter is under review by the White House National Security Council. One Democrat calls the mistake an embarrassment. Oh, and these people were also crickets when our Secretary of Defense under the Biden administration just up and disappeared for surgery. That wasn't an embarrassment, was it? None of these people said anything about that, but once again, that's whataboutism. So let's keep going. I just had to point that blatant hypocrisy out now. Both Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe, who was also a participant in the Signal exchange, also testified at Tuesday's intelligence hearing, faced blistering criticism from lawmakers. Director Ratcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct? Senator Jon Ossoff, a Georgia Democrat, asked. After a brief pause, Ratcliffe shook his head. No, he said. Ratcliffe attempted to interject as Ossoff asked a follow-up question, leading to the two men to speak over each other. This is an embarrassment, Ossoff said, silencing Ratcliffe. This is utterly unprofessional. There's been no apology. There's been no recognition of the gravity of this error. Ooh. These people are insane, y'all. Like, seriously. After all the bumblings and fumblings and stumblings of the Biden administration, these people want to come out and criticize the Trump administration for, quote-unquote, leaking plans, but they don't know if there was any classified information leaked. Nobody really knows, except for one guy, and he's not saying anything at all. He's not saying anything whatsoever on this. Right? He says there was classified information leaked, but are we going to trust a guy that was behind a blatant hoax? Once again, folks, I'm just saying. In the run-up to his 2016 election victory over Democrat Hillary Clinton, Trump urged criminal prosecution of the former Secretary of State for communicating about classified information with her aides on a private email server she set up. Yeah, he joked about that, Associated Press. That was called a joke. See, that's something else. They take humor and turn that into ammunition all the time, which it's funny to laugh at them trying to do so because, once again, that was a joke. But hang on, he also, I think he was joking about prosecuting her because, yeah, it wasn't that she shared classified information, was it? No, it wasn't. It was because she destroyed hard drives containing classified information. Get it right, Associated Press. These people are scumbags, y'all. I ain't lying. Just scumbags. The matter was investigated, but the FBI ultimately recommended against charges. None were brought. Yeah, and we all could see that that was very, very biased. Clinton was among Democrats this week to criticize Trump administration officials' use of Signal. You've got to be kidding me, Clinton said in a post on X that spotlighted the Atlantic article and included an eyes emoji. That is extremely rich coming from Hillary Clinton, by the way, who destroyed hard drives, as a matter of fact, with classified information. She is lucky she did not have to serve prison time for that, because most people would have went to prison for that. Look at Julian Assange. for crying out loud. All he did, he ran a website. Somebody gives him some information and he publishes it on the interwebs over here. And what happens to him? I'm just saying. She was trusted with classified information. She shared it with her aides and then destroyed that classified information, which is explicitly against the law. But there were no charges, so I guess the corporate press is just going to let her off the hook for that. Well, I'm not, damn it. I still think she should have been indicted for that. Trump also faced charges for mishandling classified information at his Mar-a-Lago resort following his first White House term. Yeah, once again, corporate press, you see the way they put this out there? He faced charges, but we don't actually know if he mishandled classified information just because of the government malfeasance that went on to bring that case against Donald Trump. You could also say that the FBI in that investigation also mishandled classified information. As a matter of fact, that is in court record that they mishandled classified information. So if you want to charge anybody for this, charge those FBI agents, as a matter of fact. Those charges were later dismissed. Yeah, of course, because it was clear. But on Tuesday, top administration officials were insistent the Democratic outrage was misplaced. Ratcliffe and Gabbard told lawmakers that no classified information was included in the text about U.S. attack plans in the message chain. But The Atlantic reported that the messages included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing, but did not publish those details. So we're just going to have to take his word for it. Once again, take the word of a guy who was behind a massive hoax against Donald Trump. Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't think so. Pressed on whether such information should be classified, Gabbard hedged. I defer to the Secretary of Defense, the National Security Council, on that question, she said. Democrats pushed back, saying the leaked military plans show a sloppy disregard for security, but Ratcliffe insisted no rules were violated. Once again, now they're just taking this guy's word for it that, yeah, there was classified information leaked, and they're basing their judgment upon that. How about get the information first before we know? Once again, wait just a second. I just can't stand that. I can't stand this. Does it from the left and the right. People do this all the time. They hear some information, unconfirmed information, some allegations about somebody, and then they just run with their opinions. It's like, hang on, we don't know if they actually did it or not. How about let's wait and get some information? Yeah, it's just so aggravating when people do this. Like I said, they do it on the left and the right. It's just aggravating as hell to me. Let's come on, people, calm down for a second. We'll get some information. Just wait. Just give it a second. It'll be okay. My communications, to be clear, in the Signal message group were entirely permissible and lawful and did not include classified information, Ratcliffe told lawmakers in the hearing that was supposed to be focused on global security threats. Facing heated questions from Democratic Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, Gabbard said there's a difference between inadvertent releases of information and intentional leaks. There was no classified material that was shared, Gabbard said. Warner, though, said the lapse in security could have cost lives. Once again, how? For one. And for two, wait a second. She's telling you there was no classified information leaked, but you don't believe her. Sure, I get that. I'm basing my judgment on the fact that a lot of people believe that this guy, a claim that this guy made. Well, I don't believe him. Now, once again, Occam's razor would suggest that, yeah, there probably wasn't any classified information leaked. Otherwise, this very anti-Trump guy would have published that classified information just to be sure, would have shared this information with somebody, like somebody with a security clearance, somebody, right? His phone would be seized. As a matter of fact, the FBI would be all over this guy. We haven't heard of any of this. He hasn't shared none of this on social media, that his phone was confiscated by the FBI or by NSA or by anybody. That hasn't been shared. So we don't have that information. We don't know if his phone has been confiscated, but he hasn't said anything. You would figure something that, of that gravity, he would share that. Oh, the FBI confiscated my phone because it contained classified information about such and such. But I'm sorry, come on people, let's work through this with our brains instead of jumping to conclusions and just throwing caution to the wind and just blatantly accusing people of major security lapses. I'm just saying, maybe cooler heads should prevail instead of looking like a freaking fool. Jeez. If this information had gotten out, American lives could have been lost. If the Houthis had this information, they could reposition their defensive systems, Warner said. Okay, 2 hours beforehand? Sure, buddy. All right, once again, this Democratic lawmaker is just being insane because it was leaked to a journalist, right? Now, he's basing this on what if one of these Houthis would have been on that signal at... Huh? What are you talking about, dude? Like, that's how insane Democrats are. And this is why I'm no longer a Democrat, y'all. Straight up. Because they don't use their brains. They just come out, make accusations, and then go right back into the house. Like, stir up a bunch of crap and just exit the room. Like, bye-bye, I'm gone. Y'all work that out yourselves. Stir up all kinds of nonsense. Right? They're constantly accusing everybody of everything in the world. And then throw racists and bigots on top of that. It's just nuts, y'all. And I cannot stand for that type of acting. That is something tantamount to a high schooler. Oh, we got some gossip. Let's go ahead and point fingers and call people names. That is what Congress is. On both sides for a lot of people. I'm just saying. Calls for an investigation. In response to questions from Democratic Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon, Gabbard and Ratcliffe said they would participate in an audit looking into administration officials' use of Signal. Wyden said it must be investigated. Didn't she just agree to that? Like, okay. I'm of the view that there ought to be resignations, Wyden said. Yeah. If you are of that view, once again, folks, like you would need, like if there was an actual security lapse, I could see that. But once again, these Democratic lawmakers don't actually know. So they're just asking for resignations. Let's look into this a little bit deeper and think, okay, it's because it's Trump, right? Right. FBI Director Kash Patel, appearing with Ratcliffe and Gabbard at the hearing, said he was only recently briefed on the Signal chat matter and doesn't have an update on whether the FBI has opened an investigation into it. Once again, like I was saying earlier, Warner asked for an update by the end of the day. The White House, in a statement Tuesday, called the uproar a coordinated effort to distract from the successful actions taken by President Trump and his administration to make America's enemies pay and keep Americans safe. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, in his first comments on the matter on Monday, attacked the journalist who received the message, Goldberg, as deceitful and a discredited so-called journalist, while alluding to previous critical reporting of Trump from the publication. Oh, critical. Was it just critical, or was it a complete and utter hoax? There is a vast difference between critical reporting on somebody and drumming up a hoax. Those are two very different things. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that, Hegseth said in an exchange with reporters on Monday at the start of a trip to the Indo-Pacific. Yeah, and that's all to that one. But these people, like, they can't help themselves. Anything that the Trump administration does, even when it's on the up and up, is all of a sudden it's a constitutional crisis. Oh, we've got a leak of classified information. I want everybody fired. Blah, 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 blah. It's the sky is falling anytime Donald Trump goes to do a number 2 in the bathroom, for crying out loud. Eat a ham sandwich, constitutional crisis. Go to the restroom to take a leak. Oh, the sky is falling, for crying out loud. Leak some secret war plans that weren't really war plans. They just acknowledged that there was about to be a strike. It's the end of the world. It's the apocalypse, y'all. This is what I can't stand about the Democrats. Republicans do this too, but to a much lesser degree, if you will. But Republicans, they do this too. Like I said, they do this as well, and I don't like it when they do this. But sometimes, you just gotta bite the bullet and go along with it and report on the news. And that's exactly what that was. But, this was more of, I kind of wanted to show just how ridiculous some of this is. And, the vast difference in reporting on this. We've got some news outlets over here saying, oh, Mike Walls appears to be on the way out the door. Politico reported that, as a matter of fact. With Trump over here actually saying, no, I think he learned a lesson. I think he's good. No classified information was released, according to Tulsi Gabbard, but according to Democratic lawmakers, it's the apocalypse once again. Oh, lives could have been lost. Do we have troops on the ground in Yemen, where the Houthi rebels are? And if we do, if the answer to that is yes, which I do believe it is yes, why? That's my next question. Why do we have troops on the ground over there? We are not at war with Yemen. As a matter of fact, they just had a regime change, if I do believe. And, we don't need to be involved in regime change, if you ask me. That is something that a globalist power would do. And we're not a globalist power. We might be a global power, but we're definitely not a globalist power. Not anymore. The Biden administration may have been. And, these global elites, these people, the Democrats, they're all one and the same to me because they all show up at Davos waving their Ukrainian flags, showing up in their private jets, griping at you for driving your internal combustion engine car. And I can't stand any of it, y'all. Can't stand any of it. My jaw is doing just fine. I am rolling right through this stuff. Made a few slip-ups, but it is what it is. And I think I'm done with this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Did y'all see that the supposed signal exchanges? Like, if not, I'm sorry for not reporting on that, but it's been so widespread. I figured you must know exactly what's going on here. So hopefully you do. If not, I would suggest go and check out Tim Pool. Go and watch his reporting on this. Check it out. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. That, he didn't release any classified information talking about the journalist, but what he did release makes no sense. Tim Pool seems to believe it's a PR stunt. I don't know. Could be, might not be, but to me, if it was some sort of PR stunt, it's a bad one because of just how Democrats are going to react. So I'm not going to buy into the whole PR stunt thing because of what they were saying was actually kind of based that they didn't want to do this strike because it goes against America first, which I agree with. And everything it sounded on the up and up. It sounds like what everybody in MAGA would want to hear, right? It's just like red meat for MAGA. But once again, like I said, I don't buy into that they just, this was an intentional leak. In other words, that they intentionally allowed this guy to see this information. There was no classified information. He's just making that up. And this was intentional just to show the American population that, Donald Trump doesn't want to strike the Houthis, but he had to. Yeah, I'm not going to buy into that. I'm not going to buy into that just because of the entire Democratic apparatus in this country, which includes all Democrats and the corporate press, the mainstream news, would instantly bite on this and just pounce and make it look really bad for the Trump administration, which is exactly what they're doing here. And hey, it is what it is. And we are just left here to figure this out for ourselves. But once again, I'm rambling again. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, all 2 of you. And y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.